Right, moving on to driver of the day and championship standings. Oh, it's an interesting one this week. There's lots of drivers who've done very well and only a few drivers who haven't done as well. Obviously, the fan vote was for our man in orange, not Max Verstappen, but Lando Norris, who finished in P3 this week. He got the decisive vote. I think it was like 38% of the votes, which was absolutely incredible. And I can see why. Stellar performance all weekend. It's interesting, the term driver of the day, because it should be based on Sunday as a whole. And if you look at Lando's performance on Sunday, actually, he's lost a position. Now, to be in that position, he's done an incredible job, don't get me wrong. But on Sunday, he has lost a position. So I really think driver of the day is more like a driver of the weekend sometimes, because I can see why Lando got the fan vote, because he's done an incredible job this weekend. But putting that aside, Alex, who have you got as driver of the day?
I am going to go for a repeat of last week and give it to Sainz.
Okay.
Because, again, he had great pace. Overall was absolutely a match for his teammate. Charles Leclerc is not an easy teammate to have, I'm sure. He's a great qualifier. He's one of the best wheel-to-wheel racers, really intelligent. We saw, Leclerc did particularly well as well. He's very, very smart at going for the switchback, and he knows exactly where to put his cars. I've noticed Leclerc tries to sort of intimidate people with the way that he approaches cars. He was getting close to Ricciardo at one point, I think, and was like deliberately getting really close up behind him. It looked like a very clever attempt. But Sainz has been more than a match for all of this, and he does it in a way that is quite understated. He just has raw pace. He kept it out of trouble. He was able to gain places through the pit stop phase by just having strong pace, good in lap, good out lap. Had a bit of he managed to get an undercut in as well, managed his tyres really well. And yeah, another understated but no less deserving points finish ending up in P5. Obviously managed to get past Ricciardo in the end. Good points for the team. Yeah, I just can't really fault this performance. And as I've said before, I do like to hand it out to people who have maybe gone a little bit under the radar and put a good result in. Because Lando, yeah, he had a good race and he still did well, even if he lost a position. But Lando doesn't really need any more encouragement via driver of the day from me. Like I've run out of superlatives for the guy. Like, he is having an absolutely incredible season. And for me, I think Carlos Sainz deserves a little bit of a shout out here, because it's another brilliant performance from the Spaniard.
It really was. And the only thing I can add to that, to agree with you, would be how humble he was over the radio when they switched to two Ferraris. He was very, very thankful. I can't remember what he said, but I remember thinking it was very humble. It was very, thank you very much, let's go get him. He was like spurring on the team. It was still a team effort. It wasn't an inter-driver rivalry. It was as a team we can achieve more. And that's really surprised me this year with Ferrari. I think it's because we've seen quite maybe a toxic Ferrari the last couple of years with Vettel and Charles, and then Vettel and Kimi, potentially, where the two teammates have been against each other. But there's a real sense of team spirit with Charles and Sainz working together. Next week, it could be Charles overtaking Sainz, and it would be absolutely fine because they want what's best for the team. So I completely agree as to why I completely understand as to why you've picked Carlos as your driver of the day. Me, on the other hand, a slightly more obvious choice, and it's more of I'm going to contradict what I've said, how driver of the day should be based on Sunday's performance and not the whole weekend, but I'm going to give it to George Russell. And I know he's dropped a handful of positions during the Sunday, but what really stood out for me was how many laps he kept Fernando Alonso behind him and how well he positioned that Williams to not allow Fernando any chance to overtake whatsoever. It just screamed out professionalism, maturity, great driving style, and just amazing composure under what was probably a very stressful, high heart rate moment. We've seen George in previous years have a couple of mistakes when he's got into those high pressure situations, when he's been in the points or ran in the points. He's always maybe slipped up occasionally and he's put too much pressure on himself and maybe let the pressure get on top of him. But today he was running in P10, points were on the table. He fought as hard as he could and he did it safely, respectfully, didn't make any contact with Alonso whatsoever. And when Alonso did get by, it was, he didn't do anything to potentially cause an issue. It was a very hard fought, respectful battle between him, George Russell, who's been in Formula One for 3 years now, and Fernando Alonso, who's a world champion. So absolutely incredible stuff. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, really building his portfolio as to what he can achieve in a car which has mixed potential, because it's hard to say, like you mentioned, you can't just say in a Williams anymore, because actually in the last 2 weeks he's been running in the points. So actually a car with mixed potential with a fantastic drive and kept behind a world champion. It was absolutely fantastic. So George Russell got my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think Russell got called to the stewards, or maybe got a penalty point. I can't remember. Maybe he didn't get any points, but he got done for moving under braking, I think.
He was definitely under investigation, wasn't he?
I don't know if he actually got anything in the end. He was under investigation.
Don't think he did.
But otherwise, yeah, he did very, very well, and it was just great to see the Williams fighting. It was just refreshing to see that happen. So, and right now it feels like he is making that happen, because the car has got a little bit of potential and is no longer the basket case that it was, but it is his quality and like you said, professionalism that is making that happen.